From what I've seen so far and from what they've been showing off, I am very interested in this Modern Warfare reboot that's coming out this year, and I don't think I've said something like that about a Call of Duty game in who knows how long. It's been years since I've given two craps about Call of Duty, honestly, mainly because I don't care about the multiplayer side of things that I know attracts a large portion of the player base, and obviously Black Ops 4 didn't have a campaign last year, but then prior to that as well, the campaigns haven't had the best rap as of late. But regardless, Modern Warfare has piqued my interest. The reveal trailer, which showed little bits and pieces from the campaign, looked super interesting. It seems like they're taking the series in a really cool, kind of grounded direction, and are really honing in on the story, which is of course why I love playing video games. And the fact they've got two ex-Naughty Dog developers who are leading the narrative and directing the game is super exciting. And even the multiplayer, which like I said I'm not particularly that interested in, it looks cool enough. It looks like they're kind of going back to their roots, and even though it's not up my alley, I do have to admit it looks much better than whatever the hell Black Ops 4's multiplayer was, because whenever I saw gameplay of that I thought it looked terrible. But with that optimism and excitement for the game out of the way, today I wanted to talk about the campaign, and specifically the lack of any campaign gameplay that the public has received so far. The campaign was shown prior to E3 off to games journalists. It was then shown at E3 in a private demo. There was a complete mission from the Modern Warfare campaign shown. So it has been seen by a decent amount of people at this point. However, it hasn't been released to the public, which I do think is quite interesting, especially considering at this point by now, in August, the campaign gameplay for every other game in the Call of Duty series would have already have been shown off at this point. Typically, the campaign's first publicly shown in a full demo at an E3 conference, which obviously didn't happen this year. So, what the hell's up with this? Why haven't we seen any campaign footage? Because I'm, to say the least, super interested in seeing a full demo of a mission. It doesn't seem to have been released to the public yet for a seemingly very specific reason. It seems to be a part of Activision's strategy for marketing the game to have not shown or to not show off the campaign footage to the public yet. Because like I said, they've shown the media, and we've heard the media and other YouTubers and influencers, quote unquote, like that, talk about it at length. And all of those people seem to be kind of coming away with a similar message, that the game is quite, quote unquote, edgy, is quite dark in its tone and its themes. So from the outside looking in, it definitely seems oddly deliberate of Activision to take this approach where they seem to want the media to be aware of this, to see the campaign for themselves, to see the direction they're taking it, and then to spread that information purely via word of mouth, which is certainly a unique strategy. We haven't really seen publishers, at least to my knowledge, take this route before, where they want to hide things from the public but stress things to the media and have the media communicate and spread that information regarding what the campaign's going to be like to gamers in that way. And while those general takeaways about what the campaign is like tonally and the content it has in it, at least a part of those demos that have been seen already by some people, the media reactions to them have been very, very interesting to say the least. Anecdotally, it seemed to me that a lot of games journalists have disliked what they've seen, thought it was too controversial, or the stuff that they're going for in the game is just an attempt to be edgy for the sake of it, which is obviously a possibility, I guess, but I highly doubt the guys at Infinity Ward would do something like that. While hearing some of those reactions not being up some people's alley who've seen it already because of the controversial nature of the content in the mission that was shown off, or that has been shown off, or that may put some people off or discourage them in some way, for me personally, it only gets me more excited. For a series like Call of Duty that, in my mind at least, has just been so bland, dormant and boring for the last who knows how many years, the fact that people are coming out of these demos and saying what they saw was really interesting, and the fact that it was polarizing at all, the fact that it's being debated and talked about in this way screams to me that something interesting at the very least is going on with this campaign, and something worth checking out, which is more than I can say for any other entry in the series for a long time. But then obviously beyond the simple fact that it's apparently controversial in some capacity, everything specifically that's being discussed, it sounds great. The way that we've heard the game seems to be playing with morality, the way it's exploring literal modern warfare, it's in the title. And from what we've heard, there seems to be some kind of dynamic nature to the way you can approach missions, in the sense that you can apparently approach objectives in multiple different ways, which certainly isn't a new concept, but nonetheless it sounds exciting for a Call of Duty campaign to me. And some people are saying that the stuff is quite confronting, which again, while that may have the potential to upset people, to me screams, wow, they're doing something ballsy, they're doing something interesting, and it seems like that they have something to say with this campaign from a narrative perspective, which is all I want. Now, of course, the game may come out and none of this may end up being true, it may end up being another bland campaign, maybe it will be controversial simply for the reason of gaining some kind of online attention. But at the end of the day, I trust Infinity Ward, I don't think that will be the case, and I really do believe that Modern Warfare, the 2019 reboot of it that is, because God knows it's going to be confusing having to identify which Modern Warfare game we're talking about now, right? All of this stuff is giving me faith in the game, which to be honest is kind of weird because I feel like if any other publisher with any other series or any other game were to use this marketing approach of not showing any campaign gameplay until very close to the game's release, I think it's fair to say that would spark a lot of skepticism on the part of gamers. If that was happening, for example, with the next Battlefield game or whatever the hell anything else, I'd admittedly think to myself, wow, they must have no faith that the campaign's going to be any good. It must be really in a bad state, quality-wise, if they're hiding gameplay this close to release. But I don't know, it feels weird for me to say that I trust Activision's marketing campaign, but I do honestly. I think that this is an incredibly unique circumstance for them in a lot of different ways, including this marketing strategy of not showing the campaign gameplay, and of course in the fact that they're rebooting a series, or I guess a mini-series, I don't know what you'd call it, a sub-series within the Call of Duty franchise itself, which hasn't been done before. I just hope we don't end up getting like Call of Duty Black Ops in 2020. At that point, identifying what COD you're talking about would just be a nightmare. But regardless, are you excited for Modern Warfare 2019 edition? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like this video, maybe consider subscribing, I definitely appreciate it. This has been Sir Kaz, farewell.